Hello, and welcome to Thought for the Day, reading again from Kundalini, Empowering Human Evolution. It's by Gopi Krishna, edited by Jean Kiefer. And we're continuing on with our theme here. In the last Thought for the Day, we were talking about the failure of intellect to assess our position, to assess what does reality require. How do you balance, physical and spiritual? So we're continuing on. And we're reading from page 111. Okay? And he says, it's not science itself, but the overweening vanity and short-sightedness of savants and scholars, or in other words, a faulty intellect, that's responsible for the destructiveness of modern technology. The first thing that should be done to bring about a harmonious development of human beings and the eradication of present-day irrational beliefs in the spiritual realm is to embark on a scientific investigation of consciousness. There's a huge volume of literature available in both the East and the West describing methods for attaining the higher states of consciousness and the nature of these higher states. A documentary research into these volumes, followed by systematic experimentation, could lead to an understanding of the biological relationship between expanded states of consciousness and the brain. When this is achieved, the next step would be to find the laws underlying this relationship. Enough material would be available when this is done to enable scholars and scientists to understand the nature of the changes imperceptibly occurring in the brain and consciousness. It is not only by experimentation on the methods leading to higher states of consciousness, but also by the observation of the psychic forces responsible for genius, mediumistic faculties, and insanity, that these evolutionary processes can be understood. Insanity is anything that people don't know how to deal with in our world, because people get outside the perceptual limits of others. And then they're labeled insane. But what is that really about? It is not only by experimentation on the methods leading to higher states of consciousness, but also by the observation of the psychic forces responsible for genius, mediumistic faculties, and insanity, that these evolutionary processes can be understood. The all-inclusive nature of sex energy has not yet been correctly understood either, especially by psychologists. In fact, the very term reproductive or sex energy is a misnomer. Reproduction is just one of the aspects of the life energy, of which the other theater of activity is the brain. The cephalic, meaning the brain, the cephalic activity is so slow and subtle as to be almost imperceptible. But this activity is the cause of the genius, the uncanny psychic powers, and also insanity. So once this fact is empirically demonstrated, we come to a turning point in our present concepts about mind and consciousness, and even about matter and the universe as a whole. The first harvest of this change will be the beginning of a new science, dealing with subtle, intelligent energies in the cosmos. When this happens, the gigantic physical world, now dominating the whole mental horizon of science, will be relegated to its proper position. It is but the visible peak of an infinite creation, of which the unbounded major part is sunk below the surface of the time-space ocean, forever hidden from the sight of man, unless he goes looking. It is only in higher states of consciousness that a fragment of the submerged portion comes into view, causing a state of wonder and exhilaration that is beyond description. It is only when the evolving human organism and the cosmos are viewed in the right perspective that the appropriate ways of life and conduct favorable for our transformation can be devised. Try as we might, without a clear knowledge of the goal ahead, we can, by no exercise of the intellect, determine the right pattern of life essential for mankind on the evolutionary path. A united world, abolition of war, demolition of armaments, disbandment of armies, an environment more in harmony with nature, a life more natural and simple, removal of barriers between man and man, inculcation of altruistic and humanitarian principles, moral education, social equality, and universal brotherhood. These are some of the basic factors that contribute to the harmonious progress of mankind. This may appear idealistic or even fantastic and impractical to many people, but the conclusion is unavoidable. At its present intellectual stature, the alternatives facing the race are either self-caused annihilation with dreadful agony for myriads, or knowledge of and obedience to the laws of evolving consciousness. So as you go through your day, think about, where is your genius? Where are your psychic abilities? And be aware that people who are labeled insane are just people who are able to move outside the boundaries of the physical material world here. Since other people can't see what they see, can't hear what they hear, those people that get outside those boundaries are labeled as insane. Are they really? Or are they gifted? And we're locking them up. So, think about, how do you trigger your genius? How do you bring on your psychic abilities? Those are built in. Make a great day.